So I have been challenged by Big Eddie. Just assumed what he is. I'm so sorry. Big Eddie could clearly be a woman's name or someone who's indecisive. Um, I'm just kidding. I'm just picking on you, Big Eddie, because I'm using you as banter and I play a game of tanks, so I can do what I want. Anyway, he has challenged me to score top in a bottom tier tank in a game. So -2, score top, ace it, low tier. That's what we are doing, and we actually got place in the perfect matchmaking. Like, you cannot get much worse than this. We are the only two tier 5s in this game. The only good thing going for us is the fact that there is no artillery. Look at this. No 5s on the enemy team. And we are playing, and our Panzer 5 force. This was my first ever top tier tank. Just letting that sink in. For those of you who did not play this game since it came out, since release, which I think the 5-year anniversary is coming up in just a week or so. For those of you who did not play, when this tank was released into the game, when the game was released, this tank was top tier. This tank led on to nowhere. So this was my first ever top tier tank. It was the highest you could go on this particular branch. It didn't lead up to the VKD or past, and then eventually to the Leopard. And I was struggling so hard to get my Death Star. That was the first line I went up, that I decided that I would get this, just so that I could complete a branch and say I did it. And I did. This was my first ever completed branch in World of Tanks, quote unquote completed, because tier 5 was as high as you could go. But that's old school, and back then I think the tank had like 420 health, it had less health, it had less armor, but the gun and the mobility remained about the same, and the armor was really good back then, because not many people had tier 5 yet, and you had really good sloped 50mm of frontal plate armor. No, 60mm I think is what it was at the time. And so you would block shots from 90mm penetrating guns reliably, consistently. And everybody back then played T14s because everybody came from beta most back then. Most people came from beta. And so fighting T14s was amazing in this tank because you had the penetration to reliably go through them, and they did not have the penetration to reliably go through you. So this tank back then was a bully. And it was only really when they started loading their premium shells that they would actually start penetrating you. Now, unlike PC, our premium shells have always been purchasable with credits. We have never had that time in the game where, you know, you could only buy it with gold. I think maybe they had that in beta, but they gave you gold for free in beta, so it really didn't matter. But there was always the ability to use premium rounds for free-to-play tankers. And so that was pretty much back then the only way you could defeat this, because nobody shoots you in the turret, and people still don't shoot you in the turret. I'd say you get shot in the turret a little more often nowadays, but back then nobody shot you in the turret because that's never a weak spot. And well, that's not the case on this tank. That is the weak spot. If you're fighting this tank and you just cannot penetrate it from the front, shoot it in the turret. It's like 45mm, 50mm of turret front. Just don't shoot it in the cupola. The cupola is actually 99mm thick or something, 98mm thick, 95, something like that. And so don't shoot it there. But anyway, we are in position to just farm these guys. This is Westfield. This is probably one of my all-time favorite maps. Why? Because of this position I'm in right now. I use this in my higher tier tanks. I'm actually further back in my higher tier tanks, so that I'm not 400 meters away. I'm usually about 430 meters away spotting. But in these lower tier tanks, you can't quite spot as far, so I had to get a little bit closer. And so that's what we've done, and we've just been annihilating those 6s up top. That KV2 platoon is just getting decimated. But you're going to see Russian bias, and somehow we did no crits, and we didn't penetrate his tank there, and now he's moved, and I have no clue how, but that is the case. There's a Churchill on my left, so I'm just going to get out of the way from that Churchill so he doesn't shoot me, and we're going to start putting more shots into this guy. That is the plan. Now, obviously, the matchmaking is amazing, what they've given me right now, because, like, or should I say the map, and the fact that their team has all decided to go, well, at least one of their platoons has all decided to go one way, and that has really helped. Granted, we've just hit 1,000 damage, we're up to 1,400 assist damage, and now we're going to feast on this Churchill 7. Now, listen, the game is going to tell me that he spotted me, but that is not actually true. He's not actually spotted me. I'm not actually spotted right now, because clearly he's not looking at me, so clearly I'm not actually spotted. Now, the game might see me, But no, the player does not see me, so we're okay. And he goes down. And now we're going to try to get some more shots on these guys by driving up this way and getting up higher and hopefully be able to shoot the top of their turrets. That's the plan anyway. Now let's just see if we can put that into action as we drive. Now this is a very mobile tier 5 too. This is one of the more mobile tier 5 medium tanks, if not the most mobile. And that's really helpful. So anyway, I mentioned, oh, that was a nice easy shot. I mentioned just how armored this thing was back then, 60 millimeters. Now it's 80 millimeters of front hull, which is really good. Like, really good. Can we finish this guy? No, come on. German accuracy. The accuracy is not that bad either, considering it's a low tier tank. Most of the time, tier 5 mediums don't have very good accuracy. This thing is pretty good, not gonna lie. Down goes the OI, but now there's an ONI, and we're gonna go after him, and we miss. But we're gonna load our gold. I'm not going after an ONI without my premium rounds, because that would be silly. Now, a little tip for you people. If you're fighting a tank and you can't pen it from the front, stop shooting it. It's simple, alright? Don't shoot it from the front. Try to get somewhere else, or just ignore it. Otherwise, you know, if it's facing you, then you're probably not going to penetrate it, and it's probably going to shoot you. Simple. A simple, easy, cheap, reliable way to kill a tank, or not get killed. My tip of the day. If something is looking at you and you cannot penetrate it, then don't poke out to shoot it. Go somewhere else. It's so simple. I mean, that'll keep you alive, guys, alright? Some of you might be like, that might be a dawning moment, and others will be like, why are you telling me this? Well, because I am. But they're two M6s, and what are the chances that two M6s would be AFK in the same match, and not even platooned? Well, this is a world of tanks, so clearly, very likely. Aiming up at his tracks, and it goes into his weak spot, and we penetrate his tank. Aiming up at his tracks, and we hit it, but no tracking. Come on! There we go, we finally hit it right before he gets smoked by my team, and now we're going to put a couple shells through, maybe, and he goes down, bringing our total up to 1,900 damage done, 2,100 assist damage at tier 5. Boom, one and done. There is your game. Challenge completed. Let's see, actually, we have to get the ace tanker for the challenge to be completed. Will we get the ace tanker? Come on, 4,000 combined damage. Yes, there's the ace tanker. 1,975 base experience points at tier 5. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. There's your challenge. Now, other people who have been challenged by this guy, go do it. Go do it. Interact with your community. Come on, man. Oops, I'm assuming again. I will catch you guys all later. Take care, and peace out.